Today I'm going to look at the FMS Ranger 1.2 meter wingspan RC airplane. And I had my eyes on this one for quite some time, so in the end, of course, I had to purchase one to see for myself what this one is all about. So first, let's go into an unboxing of this FMS Ranger. Here's the unboxing then of this FMS Ranger 1220. So by opening this one, you have the main wing. As you can see, this is the servos and the linkage is already mounted on both ends. And this one doesn't feature flaps, but you certainly could cut this part and put in some hinge and add a servo, and then you can put in some sort of flap solution on this wing. And they have the spars as well. Struts are here. And here's the overside, a nice yellow and checkerboard edges. So that's the main wing, and then by removing these foam pieces then, you can access the main fuse. So it's even the prop and spinner is mounted, and the nose wheel as well. And this one has hopefully a really nice construction where this wheel does flex, so it's a good choice. And here we have the tail section then. So I really like yellow on any RC airplane, so I suppose this one will work great. And if you look inside, you have an XT60 connector, and then I suppose this is for the nose wheel. And there's also channel 2 and another one as well. So if we move on, then this model does come with floats. So here's one of the floats. Very much resemble the floats you get for the FMS Kingfisher, similar RC airplane. But this one does feature a servo inside. So there's a servo lead and there's a rudder. And I suppose the assembly looks almost more or less like how you do it on the FMS Kingfisher. And you have these metal parts that are used to hook up the floats. And then you have the main landing gears. These wheels are kind of small for being a 1.2 meter RC airplane. And they have this kind of usual semi-stiff foam as well. And then we have the rear stabilizer. This one is already mounted, and it doesn't feel like there's no wing spar inside. So that's something to be aware of, that this is a part that can break if you fly into something. So the last part we have two more of these pins that comes with the floats. And then we also have this reflex system. So inside this box you will find the gyro. This is the gyro that has to be mounted inside. If you want to use this one, there's some sort of manual as well. There is a bag with some screws and this plastic piece for the main landing gears, and a couple of other parts as well. And then we have these Y leads also, which are supposed to use for the channel 4 and channel 1. So I suppose it's meant to be for the rudder and for the ailerons. That was the unboxing of this FMS Ranger, and to me I think most modern FMS RC airplanes, they do have a really well done packaging, and the unboxing is very pleasant. So let's start to build this FMS Ranger. The first step when assembling this RC airplane is to attach the landing gears. So landing gears does fit in this groove over here, and then you grab this plastic piece and put it on top of this one, And to secure, you have to use 2 of these longer screws and 2 of these shorter screws, and then using a 2mm hex driver to secure this. So that's the landing gears then, and if you want to use floats, you use this mounting point as well as this mounting point as well. And then you make use of these metal pins that comes to hook up the floats. Next step then is to mount this horizontal stabilizer. So it's this part that has to go into the fuse in this end, just by pressing this one down. And then you're using 2 more of these 60mm screws. So just put this inside each hole, and then using a 2mm hex driver for this as well. So that's the horizontal stabilizer, and as you can see, the vertical fin is already mounted. You actually have the servo linkage that goes to the horn for the rudder as well. But if you have to, of course, attach the linkage between the horn and the servo for the elevator. To mount this linkage, then you have this part that is in the little plastic bag. So you pick usually the outermost hole, and you just attach this one. And you don't have to use this O-ring to secure this one yet, because first you want to install the receiver and trim all the surfaces so that they are level. So it just make sure this one is mounted but not really secured by the O-ring. Next thing is to mount the Reflex gyro, and I'm going to use this Spektrum AR620 receiver as well. And when you mount this gyro, the cables do have to point forward to the nose, but this one doesn't matter which direction you actually put this one in. But this, just put it inside and make sure that the wires are mounted into the front. So here are the 2 parts connected then. This is the Reflex gyro and the AR620 receiver, and the channel order for the Spektrum system is channel 1 is throttle, channel 2 is aileron, channel 3 is elevator, channel 4 is rudder, and channel 5 I'm using to control the stabilization mode on the Reflex gyro. And then you have these connectors where you actually hook up all the servo leads and the ESC as well. And here I have the Reflex gyro and the AR620 receiver already mounted. By using some hot glue, the Reflex gyro is on the bottom and the cables are facing forward to have it in the correct direction. And then I have the AR620 on the side, mounted on inside of the fuselage. Before we mount the main wing to the fuse and secure it, we have to bind the RC airplane. So first off, I'm going to go into System, and I'm going to choose System Setup and Yes, and then Model Select. I will scroll down on the far end and select Add New Model, which is a model RC airplane. So create. Takes a few seconds. And then just go into Model Type. So we have an RC airplane, which is the correct one. And now we have a clean model. And then I could put in the name, which in this case would be something like the just type in Ranger. And let's pick a number, so let's just for having it good enough, we're going to name this one $12.20, and then just go back and we have the name is saved then, and then aircraft type. So wing is normal because we have no flaps, so this is the correct thing, and I'm going to just go back. And then it's time to bind the RC airplane. So first off, we hook up the battery. And although this is an EC3 connector, I'm connecting XT60. This does actually work with a bit of compression. And then press this button on the AR620. on the actual TX, then go into menu, and you scroll down to where it says bind, and you select bind. So it's binding, and you have telemetry from the AR620, although we have nothing really telemetry to measure right now. If I would put in something like an avian ESC, I could monitor, for instance, battery level. So now everything is set up and I'm ready to mount the main wing. By using these two plastic pieces, I secure the wing. So first off then, just watch these parts as they have to be put into the corresponding hole on the fuse, and then just put this one down. You have to make sure that these cables aren't in the way, and when you have like an easy way going down, it's all good. And then you put these two inside, and there's actually an arrow, so you can just turn these like this. And now the main wing is secured. Then it's time to mount these wing struts. There is a grooving on the side, just put this one in and slide back, and the same thing on this side, just in the right groove and put it back, and everything is assembled and ready to fly. To set up the gyro channel, then you press menu and you go into system setup and select yes, and then under channel assign, I've already done this, so you can see that channel 5 is set to gear and the switch A, and you can even go to the next page where you have how everything is set up with all the channels. So as I've connected the channel 5 to the gyro channel, and I have the gear channel, I can then make use of the A switch, and the A switch is the switch on top, on the back, which is usually set up to control SAFE and AS3X on the Spektrum receivers. So that's the way I do it then for this Reflex gyro. Now that the FMS Ranger is fully assembled, it's time to head to the flying field and get this one up in the air and just try it out. So it's just a beautiful chilly winter day. It's like my third flight of this FMS Ranger 1.2 meter wingspan RC airplane. So runway is clear, and let's get this one up in the air then. So I'm going to start pushing this plane right away. I had, as I said, a few flights just prior to this one to adjust a few things. So I increased the aileron throw to 120% just to give this more agility on the ailerons. And this location is really nice because I'm forced to keep within the limits, and there are a lot of obstacles I have to avoid, so it's a good practice just to maneuver this space. And with the increased throw on the ailerons, I think the roll rate is really nice. You have a good amount of authority on the ailerons. Now, I didn't do anything about CG, so I put in a 3S 2.2 amp battery, and there isn't really much room to fiddle with it, so it does more or less just fit in one location, all the way shoved to the front of the battery compartment. This one is fun to just go around the sky and do almost anything, and you don't need much throttle for it to fly. It's just a lightweight RC airplane with a great lift from the wing, and I really like the Cessna 150-like style. So just by increasing throttle a bit, I'm able to with ease go through all these maneuvers. So, I mean, it's not a super snappy roll behavior, but the increased throw on the ailerons does surely help to make this more agile. But don't expect this one to be anything like for instance, the E-flite Extreme 300 or similar sized, or for that matter the Pitts S1S. But for a Cessna, I think this is fine. And more or less what I get from the FMS 182 Cessna 1.4 meter wingspan. I think this one. I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more agile than the FMS Cessna 182. This is a really simple RC airplane. There are no extra features apart from the 4 channels. Of course, you do get a reflex gyro included, and I did put in a Spektrum AR620 receiver, which is a receiver without gyro. So I'm making use of the built-in gyro, and of course this is only in the gyro stabilized mode or optimized mode, I would say, because there is no auto level. It is just to the optimized mode. It's just to counteract wind gusts and such. And today I have just a slight breeze, so more or less just perfect conditions to fly. Clear blue sky, chilly, about I would say maybe -7 degrees Celsius, but very enjoyable to be outdoors and fly an RC airplane. So even at moderate speed, low throttle, it flies really easy. And that's a feature I really like about RC airplanes, that you don't need to have much throttle or much power to just go around in the sky and have some fun, really. Now I'm feeling really comfortable with this FMS Ranger right away, and it does remind me of the smaller FMS Ranger 850, although this one is much more agile, more able. I think they do share similar kind of flying behaviors, but this one is more powerful and, to me at least, more fun to fly. And I really like the choice of colors in this one. I think yellow is one of my favorite colors on any RC airplane. Makes them visible against any backdrop, really. So just I'm going to get this one down to reduce some speed and altitude. So far during the previous flights, this one doesn't have any bad stall tendency to it, so let's just get it down. One more lap. So that's a good challenge with this space, just to get a plane down with enough low speed to have a nice landing. So let's watch this one then. Yes, a really smooth landing, and this tricycle gears do handle great on the ground, and it's true for this Ranger 1220 also. And the nose wheel is a really ingenious design with this kind of spring mechanism that will just bend instead of having the nose wheel getting damaged if you do kind of a poor landing. So I really enjoy this FMS Ranger. It's a fun one to fly. I had a really wonderful time to fly this one. I enjoy to be up early in the morning, and this day with the clear blue sky. Of course it was cold and chilly, but just an enjoyable flight. And even in this tight space I flew this one in, it handled just great. So everything from quite speedy maneuvers and aerobatics to slower flight, and the touchdown was just, you know, super simple with this one. So I'm not really sure that the flaps are needed, although there are, you know, like marks on the wing. So by just cutting out the foam and putting in a few servos, you surely could add flaps, but I'm not really sure that it's worth it. So I would probably just keep it as is. Of course, I have to compare this one to other RC airplanes, and just the similar size and similar design. You have the Arrows RC Bigfoot. So the Bigfoot does feature flaps and LED lights, but it doesn't come with floats, and this one does come with floats. So I think they are almost on the same level. But I think that of course the Arrows Bigfoot can be flown on 4S if you swap the ESC, and I suppose this one also could be flown on 4S if you swap the ESC. But even with a 3S 2200 mAh battery, this one handles great, and it does also have this top-mounted hatch. So I just put the battery inside and just push it all the way forward to the firewall, and it was all balanced. So I mean, it's just a great flying RC airplane. Of course, it's difficult to say that this one is better, for instance, compared to the Arrows RC Bigfoot or the Carbon Cub S2. Or the Valiant or the Kingfisher, because they are similar sized and they have like minor pros and cons to them. I think the nice thing about this one is the nose wheel. So that this one has the spring and does, you know, flex in any direction is the thing that will save the nose wheel, because on the FMS Ranger 850 the nose wheel is the thing that just breaks because it's so weakly done. So on this one I expect the nose wheel to last really long, although the landings were just super easy, and I'm eager to try floats also in the summer. So I will surely come back to this FMS Ranger, but for now it's just a, you know, a simple, fun, well-handled RC airplane.